a few moments ago at the beginning of the service that I like to wear red socks at Christmas Eve service. And I'm just desperate to find my red socks. They've been moved somewhere and I can't find them. So we all have certain things that we like to do. We have the same songs that we'll listen to, or we put up those same decorations. I know my good friend John Mills, who just united with the church today, he has the most amazing ugly Christmas sweater. And I was so looking forward to seeing that at Rotary this week, and he did not wear it. I guess he was not feeling really bold. But, you know, I know some of you have some really audacious Christmas ties, and we'll gather oftentimes in some of the same places, and we'll eat some of the same foods year after year. Cindy and I were actually reflecting on the comfort of Christmas sameness the other night as we were listening to some old-fashioned Christmas tunes. Cindy got out her Pandora app on her telephone and she used it to play some old-time goodies that were like the ones we listened to when we were children. You know, Frank Sinatra, Johnny Mathis, Bing Crosby, and Burl Ives, the voice of Christmas. And as we were listening to those folks sing their songs, we thought of listening to those songs on our parents' phonograph recorders years ago, back in the tumultuous 60s. That's when we listened to those songs. And those songs were nostalgic songs at the time, thinking back to our parents' days when they played those songs and sang those songs. You know, it's really comforting and really sometimes reassuring to listen to the same music, to embrace those same old traditions, to celebrate the sameness of Christmas. But it is rather ironic because Christmas in the Bible is really about just the opposite of sameness. It's actually about God doing something new. God did something new in the life of Mary and Joseph. God did something new in the shepherds and the wise men. God did something new in all of those that Jesus encountered throughout his life: the blind, the lame, the sick, the emotionally distressed, those who were spiritually lost, those who were morally compromised, those who were grieving. Jesus did something new in their life, and Jesus did something new in the life of his friends, Mary and Martha, and Peter, and Andrew, and Nathaniel. God later did something very new and fresh in that man named Saul and gave him a new name, Paul. And God is continuing to do something new all the time. And a question that the Christmas story of the Bible actually presents to us is, what new is God doing for you? Each of the 4 Gospels in the Bible asks this question in its own unique way. In John's very unique Christmas story that he shares with us in the first chapter of his Gospel, he states that the creator of the universe has come near to us in Jesus. But John does not stop to ponder a baby in a manger. But he goes straight on from talking about Jesus being God in the flesh to talking about how God now gives to you and me the right to become children. How God gives to us the light of God to shine in us so that we can be born from above. I like the description that John uses of us as children. Because when he uses this image of us as children, he's talking about us going through a growth process in our life. And our change does not just happen overnight, but it happens in the light of day. Every new day, God is doing something new in us. And I like what it says in the New International Version of John's words, where it says that God gives us grace upon grace. And in the NIV translation that Jane read for us a few moments ago, it says we receive grace in place of grace that is already given. I love that image because it's a growth process that we're going through. God is always in a business of change and development of us, his children. You know, there's several Bible scholars who have suggested that John is telling us with this word of grace upon grace, that basically there's different ages and different experiences of our life where we all need a new touch of grace. Maybe grace in a different way. We need one grace for days of prosperity. Perhaps we need another kind of grace when we're experiencing adversity. We need one type of grace in the sunlit days of youth, and yet we need another kind of grace in the shadows of age begin to lengthen for us. We need one grace when we feel that we are on the top of the world, but there's also another kind of grace that comes to us when we're depressed or when we're discouraged or when we're in despair. We need one grace to bear our own burdens, but we could use a different kind of grace to help bear the burdens of another person. We need one grace when we're sure of things, and we need another grace when we have certain uncertainties in our life. You know, the grace of God is never a static thing. The grace of God is always dynamic, and it's always available to us. That's the Christmas message. That one who came in the flesh has shown his light on us to enable us to be children of God. What an amazing message that is. God's grace and mercy comes to us new every morning. In every new situation, we're growing as children of God. You know, this year leading up to Christmas, we had some unexpected variety in our life. When we were getting ready for Christmas, all of a sudden we had our family from Santa Barbara descend upon us. Now that's my son and his wife, but it's also Bo, 2.5 years old. And not just Bo, all of his stuff, all over our living room floor. And when you're used to having a clean floor that you can walk across, it was a new kind of experience for us. And then there was little Bo. And Bo likes to express himself, baby Bo. And he was in constant expression of himself. You know, my kids had to evacuate Santa Barbara due to the threats of the Thomas fires, but thankfully, those flames didn't damage them or damage their property or home. But our hearts do go out to those who have lost so much. Now, one of the things that happened when my kids were in my house is we were decorating. And as we were decorating, our little 2.5-year-old grandson picks up an ornament that looked just like another ornament. And he holds them up proudly, and he says, "Same, same. Same, same." He had made a discovery, and he was so proud of himself. And something about that little guy really likes sameness. And I think there's something about each and every one of us that likes sameness. And the message of the gospel and the Christmas story in the Bible is that this one who is the same yesterday, today, and forever comes to us in the midst of all our changes. Because fires do come. Because challenges do hit us hard. We experience heartaches from our failings. We have brokenness in our relationships. And John's words stand for us as an invitation. They're basically telling us, don't stay in the dark. Don't let the wrappings and glitter and ornaments distract you from God's gift for you this season. The Christmas child in John's story is you. And Jesus is here to tenderly help you to grow and grow and keep growing. Let's ponder that as we pray.